For centuries, the British monarchy survived by mastering one art above all others: silence. Pain was hidden behind ceremony, emotion buried beneath velvet and gold, and every tragedy polished until it shone like loyalty. But now, at a time when the royal family faces its most fragile chapter in decades, that silence is finally breaking. The man breaking it is not an outsider, not a rebel, but the very future of the throne itself. Prince William, the steady, measured, dutiful heir, is turning that age-old weapon of restraint into something his ancestors would hardly recognize: vulnerability. The world first glimpsed this shift in his candid conversation with Eugene Levy on Apple TV+. The setting was disarmingly simple: Windsor Castle, a few dogs, a pint of cider, but the tone was revolutionary. William spoke openly about his father's and wife's battles with cancer, about fear and exhaustion, about the challenge of holding together a family when the world expects perfection. No palace statements, no rehearsed smiles, no stiff upper lip, just a man who knows the weight of both history and humanity, daring to speak them in the same breath. "I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda," he told Levy, his voice steady but certain. Change for good. That small phrase, almost tossed aside, carried more danger than it seemed. Because change and monarchy have never belonged in the same sentence. For 1,000 years, the British crown has thrived on sameness, the ritual, the repetition, the illusion of immortality. Every bow, every wave, every silence was meant to say, "Nothing changes here." And yet here stood the future king, saying exactly the opposite. Royal historian Sally Bedell Smith described it best: "He's not going to stick his head in the sand." Unlike his predecessors, he doesn't believe emotional problems go away if you ignore them. That observation cuts deep, because it exposes a truth the monarchy has always hidden, that behind the jewels and portraits, it is an institution addicted to denial. When the late Queen lost her sister, her father, and her husband, she never once allowed herself to cry in public. When Charles was a child, his tears were dismissed as weakness. When Diana, William's mother, tried to speak her pain aloud, the system turned her confession into spectacle. William has seen both extremes, the silence that kills and the noise that consumes, and now, he's determined to find a middle ground. He wants to be the king who feels. During the interview, he spoke not only as a royal but as a father. "You have to have that warmth at home," he said. "Safety, security, love." The words sounded ordinary, almost domestic, yet for a Windsor they were subversive. In his childhood, love was often replaced by protocol. Hugs were replaced by handshakes, emotions by duty. His parents' marriage, the most dissected relationship in the world, taught him how loneliness could bloom inside palaces. His vow to build something different for George, Charlotte, and Louis, a household where feelings aren't forbidden. That new approach extends beyond parenting, it's shaping his entire vision for the monarchy. Royal author Andrew Morton, who once helped Princess Diana reveal her truth to the world, warned that monarchy is about continuity, not change. And yet, in William's hands, continuity itself may mean transformation. The future king's plan is not to demolish tradition, but to humanize it. To strip away the marble and find the heartbeat beneath. And perhaps that's what makes this so dangerous. Because a monarchy that admits emotion also admits imperfection. A king who speaks about grief, therapy, or anxiety risks tearing open the very mystique that keeps the crown afloat. But maybe that's the point. The British people no longer want distant icons, they want authenticity. William's reign, if he stays true to his word, could turn the Windsors from symbols into people again. That's what terrifies the old guard and excites the new generation all at once. In the wake of his father's and wife's illnesses, William's tone has shifted from cautious optimism to fierce protectiveness. "It takes you to some not great places," he confessed. "But being able to overcome, that is what makes us who we are." That line, soft but certain, reveals everything about his evolving philosophy. For him, strength isn't the absence of pain, it's the decision to face it. He's applying that same principle to his public life. The old rulebook said the royal family should never complain or explain. William seems ready to discard both. He knows that pretending everything is fine no longer earns respect, it earns ridicule. His generation, the one that scrolls headlines before breakfast and smells hypocrisy from a mile away, demands honesty. He may still wear the crown, but he's wearing it with the cracks showing. Inside palace corridors, this new openness has unsettled traditionalists. Some senior aides whisper that he's too modern, too transparent, too willing to make the monarchy accessible. One insider put it bluntly, he wants the family to be seen as human beings, not museum pieces. And while King Charles shares that instinct to evolve, his version of modernity is intellectual, speeches, policies, projects. William's is emotional, the kind that turns tears into strength, confession into connection. There's another layer to this transformation, a quiet rebellion against the legacy of his childhood. When he says he won't let his children endure what he and Harry did, he's not only protecting his family, he's rewriting history. The media circus that devoured his mother still haunts him. The photographs, the chases, the flashing bulbs that turned Diana's final moments into global theatre, that trauma never left him. His vow to keep George, Charlotte, and Louis grounded, phoneless, and sheltered isn't just parenting, it's redemption. He's building the childhood he never had. But make no mistake, William's emotional candor doesn't mean weakness. It's strategy. Because what the monarchy has lost in mystique, it can regain in relatability. The crown no longer reigns through fear or divinity. It survives through empathy. When William sits beside a grieving family, visits a hospital, or shares a personal struggle, he isn't just performing compassion, he's redefining leadership for a cynical age. And yet, every step toward openness brings risk. For each person who sees sincerity, another will see manipulation. Every confession becomes a headline, every pause a performance. That's the paradox William has inherited, the same one that destroyed his mother. To be real in a world that treats your reality as entertainment. But he's not walking blindly into it. He's learned from Diana's mistakes, just as he's learned from Charles's stoicism. He's blending their lessons into something new, compassion with control. His is not the monarchy of mystery, nor the monarchy of chaos. It's something quieter, more sustainable, and, perhaps for the first time, genuinely human. Behind closed doors, those who know him say William spends hours talking with advisors about the monarchy's emotional intelligence, how to communicate vulnerability without undermining dignity. That's not just public relations, that's philosophy. He wants the royal family to look like the country it represents, imperfect, diverse, a little bruised but still standing. And that may be his greatest risk of all. Because change in the monarchy never comes without resistance. The institution is built on repetition, on the comfort of knowing that tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. But William doesn't want a throne frozen in time. He wants a living organism, one that can feel, adapt, and evolve. He's said it himself, I enjoy change. I don't fear it. Those are not the words of a caretaker, they are the words of a reformer. And if he means them, Britain may be standing on the edge of its first emotionally intelligent reign, a crown that doesn't just survive crisis, but learns from it. The question, of course, is whether the establishment will let him. For every admirer who calls him the People's Prince Reborn, there are courtiers who whisper he's risking too much. They remember what happened the last time a royal tried to speak from the heart. They remember how emotion became weaponized. But William's answer seems simple. Silence didn't save anyone. It didn't save his mother. It didn't save the family's reputation. And it won't save the monarchy now. Only truth, even when uncomfortable, can. That's why this new chapter feels so different. Because beneath the titles, the rehearsed smiles, and the endless expectations, there's a man who refuses to become another statue in a gilded room. He's seen what hiding costs. And he's ready to pay the price for honesty instead. The crown, after all, was never meant to be armor. Sometimes, it's simply a mirror. And for the first time in royal history, that mirror is reflecting not just duty, but humanity.